What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Football Chatbox and welcome to Wildcard Game Week 28 team selection. My name is Ryan, and if you are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button as well. And let's get into a couple wildcard drafts that I'm going to show you that I'm going to be playing. I haven't really decided which draft to go, so I'm going to show you my thought process and kind of explain why I have gone with certain players and the differences between a couple of the drafts and which ones I prefer. So let's start off with draft number one. Probably the draft I prefer at the moment the most. Although with regards to captaincy, as you can see, it's on Coutinho right now, but I'm not really convinced on the captaincy part. That's the one thing with this draft that I'm not really fond of. But let's talk into it, right? So we got to, first of all, in terms of the number of double game week players that I'm going to play, I'm going to be playing 9 double game week players for Game Week 28. Regardless of draft, I think I will eventually end up with 9 double game week players because I think I'll play Salah. I'll definitely want to play Salah, and then it's Kane, and I will want to probably play Kane as well. Or if I wanted to do a Sun draft, which we will show a Sun draft, then he will probably start. Now, this is the more double Chelsea defense draft, right? So we look at a double Chelsea defense, we look at a one Chelsea defender, one Chelsea attacker draft, and then we look at like a Huming Sun draft with 2 Chelsea defenders. So in goal, I've got Dubravka, I've got Ramsdale on the bench to play for 29. In defense, we've got 4 double game week players in Cody, 2 Chelsea defenders in Rudiger, Reece James, and Luca Digne from Aston Villa. Cody and Luca Digne both play Game Week 30, and I don't plan to free hit in Game Week 30, which is why both of them are there. And then in midfield, we've got... Actually, before we go to midfield, let's talk about the double Chelsea defenders. Now, initially, I had Livramento. I still have Livramento in my main team. I haven't made the transfer yet, but this is just the draft. Now, Livramento also has a double game week, but I'm not sure what... There are more increase in rumors of regards to his starting position, right? And when a player is a bit uncertain on a starting team, then I'm not really confident in taking them forward and going. Especially Livramento, now that he doesn't have a game week in Game Week 30, sorry, a match in Game Week 30, that makes him maybe, I'll have to probably get rid of him in a week's time, right? So I'll probably get rid of him in Game Week 29. In that specific case, then I might as well maximize my possibilities in terms of points that I can get. And that's why I've gone with the double Chelsea defense. Now, Rudiger and James, there are question marks over Reece James, whether he'll play both games or not. But I think the upside is there for Reece James and also the long-term potential. So if I was to hold one player out of Rudiger and James, for me, I want it to be James. Now, you could probably ask, why not just go with James and then not get Rudiger and probably have someone else, right? That's a possibility, but you sometimes want to have a backup plan because let's say Reece James is not fit to play maybe both games even in 28. We don't know, right? It's a risk we're taking. Then in that specific case, getting Rudiger as well is a bit more better because then in 29 I can get rid of Reece James and keep Rudiger because I want a Chelsea defender going in the long term because Chelsea's fixtures in the long term are really good. That's why I've got the double defense there. Now, you could also go with Thiago Silva. Depending on if you want a long-term player, Thiago Silva is probably not my player of choice. I would go Rudiger or Reece James. If you wanted a short-term pick, like a 1-week punt, then you could probably do Thiago Silva. And I've kind of thought of doing Thiago Silva, and I'll show you. We'll discuss it in a little while, but I've also thought of doing something like that for a 1-week punt. But yeah, we'll see. Rafinha, Salah, Willock, and Coutinho make the midfield. Rafinha with a double game week, Willock with a double game week, Coutinho with a double game week. Now, Willock and Ryan Fraser, both of them have options. The question is, I prefer... Willock is a very more streaky player, and when he's on like a streak of form, we know he's capable of scoring a bit of goals. Ryan Fraser has the numbers, and if you watched the podcast early as well, before at the start of the season, also we mentioned Ryan Fraser's numbers being high, but his returns aren't that great. Now, returns recently have been there, but then at the same time, Saint-Maximin has been injured during that time. Now, we don't know if Saint-Maximin is going to be back or not. If he is back, then that kind of like changes things for Ryan Fraser, because I think Ryan Fraser's output might decrease. But that could also be the same for Willock as well. So we don't know. It's a tiny gamble you have to take, and you have to decide. I think both are pretty good. I'm going for Willock. but you could probably go for Ryan Fraser if you need like the funds to be used elsewhere, right? Next up, we got Coutinho. Now I've got Coutinho in there with the armband, but to be honest, I don't like Coutinho with the armband. I would rather much risk Rich James with the armband than Coutinho, because I think James has a much more higher potential upside at the moment based on just the fixtures. That's it. Because Leeds right now, I don't think we can assume Leeds to be the same Leeds of past. I think they are now more of an unknown team with a new manager. We don't know what Leeds will turn up against Aston Villa, and we know Aston Villa also defensively, when they get a lead, they tend to go much more defensive. So that kind of reduces the potential of Coutinho. So maybe he's not the captaincy choice, or like the best captaincy choice. The same could be said for Rafinha. Now I told you Leeds is a very unknown team, which means I don't really know what we're going to get from Rafinha. He could be really good, or he could be like in a very more different, less attacking role. We don't really know, because Leeds, we don't know what system they'll play, what everything. Like Jesse Marsh is supposed to be a very similar coach to Bielsa, but that doesn't mean he'll necessarily set up the same way, especially if he needs to try and get a few wins. If he needs to go a bit more defensive, I don't know, it could happen. So we don't know what Rafinha is going to be like, which is why I don't want to give a captaincy armband on a player. I don't know what system they're going to like deploy. But I'm happy to own Rafinha because of the fixtures and we know his quality. But in terms of giving the armband, that's where I'm a bit not confident. Frontline, Broha and Harry Kane. Now I've gone for Harry Kane because I think Harry Kane is probably one of the most on-form players. That's why I want to get him in. On a wildcard between Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, there isn't too much to split between them, but I think Harry Kane is a bit more of a player I would like to get, which also meant that I could, instead of having Son, I could get Kulusevski on the bench, as you can see. So I can play Kulusevski in 29, and I like the look how Kulusevski also looks like when he's been playing for Spurs. The remaining players on the bench is Ramsdale, Trent, and Lacazette. All of them have double game weeks in 29, and that's the reason why they're on there. This bench is much more stronger than what I am going to be playing in 29. In 29, I want a bench boost. I don't really rate the bench boost chip too much. In the past, I haven't really got too many returns on the bench boost chip. So I'm going to anyway still play it just after the wildcard, get it out of the way so I don't have to think about it. See what returns we can get from it. And that's what I'm thinking right now about. Like, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But bench boost in 29. All the 4 players on the bench right now have a game in 29. And obviously it says 0.1, but I have funds. It's not counting the extra early transfers I did before price rises. In 29, this is how my team will look like. I'll get rid of Coutinho. I'll bring in Saka. And I'll get rid of Rudiger and bring in Doherty. Now, Doherty plays in game week 30. Saka also plays in game week 30. And both of them double in 29 as well. I like Saka as a nailed-on Arsenal option and gives me the triple Arsenal players. I'll be taking a hit, a -4 over here. But this is the team that I'll have in game week 29. And the bench boost will be Broha, Luca Digne, and Cody. And Dubravka. Alexa, quiet. Broha, Luca Digne, Cody, and Dubravka. Not really very confident with that. In terms of points return, I don't know what will happen. But because I'm not going to be playing the free hit in game week 30, that's kind of what the bench is like. Am I convinced by it? Not really. But it's most likely what it is. It's 10 double game week players, but the bench isn't very inspiring. Maybe Wolves can get a clean sheet against Everton. Broha could possibly score against Watford. Luca Digne maybe might keep a clean sheet. If these two keep a clean sheet and Dubravka manages to get 1 clean sheet against Everton, we're looking at 18 points already, and then that's a successful bench boost. So very fine margins with regards to the bench boost. But I don't know. It's not the most inspiring bench boost as well. I'll tell you that, and I'll admit it. But I don't really rate the bench boost chip that much compared to maybe a free hit chip. I rate the free hit chip as a much more powerful chip, and I'd rather use the free hit chip in a full game week with doubles rather than using game week 30. Because game week 30 there aren't many games available. Now let's go to game week 30, right? This is what my team will look like in game week 30. I did the Willock transfer to Madison. to bring in Madison, who will be playing against Brentford. I hope Madison will be playing more minutes. He's been the last couple games, he hasn't played any minutes that much, but he's been getting returns. And I'm happy to go with 10 players on the 10 players in the starting lineup, because Trent, James, Salah, I don't really want to remove. Maybe I can remove Broha, but for who? Don't really know. Broha as a 5.5 is a good option to keep, and just for the next upcoming games as well. And I'd rather have the money in the money in the bank, that I can kind of make a defensive move to bring a City defender in game week 31. And I'm not sure right now which City defender. It'll probably be Laporte, but I can probably look into Diaz as well. Obviously, Cancelo is a bit more further away from that. So I might not be able to afford Cancelo straight away, but we'll have to see. But like, I can bring a City defender in game week 31, and so I'd rather keep the money in the bank to do that move than actually play a full 11. I'd rather play with 10 players, and I'm happy to play with 10 players in game week 30. So that's kind of like what my moves for this draft would be. The one thing in this draft that I could probably change is I could actually keep the double Chelsea defense, drop Rudiger to Thiago Silva, and upgrade Coutinho to Havertz. And then I can give Havertz the captaincy armband. I'm a bit more confident with Havertz as a captaincy armband than Coutinho, to be honest. Coutinho has had like one shot on target or something in the last 2 games or something. Havertz, on the other hand, has looked pretty good for Chelsea in the cup final. Like in the cup final game, in the last few cup games, Havertz has looked pretty good for Chelsea. But there are questions over Havertz's minutes as well, because he could potentially rotate with Lukaku. Now, that's one issue that we kind of have, and we have to probably take into account. And that is something that is a bit bothering me, because then you're probably not getting the best out of your captaincy armband. Again, captaincy armband this week is not like, there is no standout option, which is why I'm like, I'll just probably put it on James. Maybe he might start both games, and I'll just take my maybe 2 clean sheets they get. I don't know. I think that's a good return. If they get 2 clean sheets, I think that's a pretty good return for my captaincy armband in a week where I think a lot of people will be captaining different players. Spread of the captaincy armband will be very vast. It means you can take a punt on a player, and it won't damage your rank. Which is why this game week, go with your gut in terms of what you think who is the best captaincy. Salah could actually be a better captaincy option, but I'd like to chase the upside in terms of the double game week players, and that's why right now I think the Chelsea fixtures are probably the best place to put a captaincy armband on, because I think that's the best fixtures out of any team. It's the more premium team. You're kind of you know what you get from Chelsea compared to maybe an Aston Villa or Leeds, who aren't really that great, especially for captaincy armband. So that's one draft. Second draft, this is where I have the one Chelsea defender and the Havertz. I have instead of Coutinho, I've got Ramsey in here, and the rest is almost similar to what I have said before. Doherty is in here in terms of defense already, but no Kuleveski, so I will end up probably doing Kuleveski in for Ramsey, and Havertz goes to Saka. Now this had Cancelo. Why does it have Cancelo? It hasn't updated. Strange. Oh yes, I was looking to see whether I could afford a Cancelo in this team. I think I could, but I don't know why it hasn't updated. Okay, that's strange. So Doherty should be here in this side over Cancelo. Now the question is, I do have Cancelo in my current team, but I'm dropping him mainly because of the fact that in 29, if I had him, I won't start him. In 28, if I had him, I won't start him. In 29, I will start him. Game week 30, blank, so doesn't really matter. Game week 31, if I had him, I would start him. So I'll start him right now in 2 game weeks over the course of 2 matches in the course of 4 game weeks. 32, I could probably look to bring him in, but 32 is playing Liverpool, so I could probably avoid it because I don't know if they'll keep a clean sheet. So which means 33 or 34 is where you can bring him in. 33, I plan on playing my free hit. So then in 34 is when I'll most likely bring Cancelo in. So ideally from 28 to 34, I'll probably play Cancelo 31, 29, and that's really it. So the rest of his fixtures are like Liverpool in 32 isn't great. 30 he blanks. 28 against United, not the best option as well. I know he got a 14 pointer in the reverse fixture, but United, I think they might score a goal, so that's the thing, right? That's why I'm like not really convinced with having. I think there's more upside to getting rid of Cancelo right now, because I'll be able to bring in a Chelsea defender. I'll be able to bring in first defender for game week 30 as well, and target the double. So there's more games coming out of by me getting rid of Cancelo than actually keeping him. That's why Cancelo is not there. But this is the moves. Havertz and Ramsey will switch to Saka and Kulusevski, and the armband will go to Salah. Vice captaincy will go to Kane. And I'll have a pretty good team going into game week 30. Again, I will be left with, again, Cancelo is not supposed to be here. It'll probably be Doherty. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be Doherty. I've just put Doherty there, just hoping to see whether Conte will actually play Doherty. Initially, I had Romero, who was the more bonus points magnet. So I'll probably eventually go with Romero if I feel like Doherty is not going to start the next games. But if Doherty can start the next few games, he's probably a really good FPL asset to have if he can start the next few games. The question is a massive if, so we'll have to see how 28 goes and kind of analyze the situation, and then I'll decide whether I go for Doherty or Christian Romero. But that's kind of how the drafts are looking. Those are the two main drafts. One with Havertz as the captain and one Chelsea defender. This one has the triple Chelsea. With me being able to switch the captaincy between either James or a Havertz, or even I could just captain Thiago Silva. You never know. But yeah, but then this could also mean I have Coutinho in here. And then I've got Rudiger over here as an option. Then I probably captain Coutinho. Not really too convinced by it, but I think it is what it is. I initially had Shea Adams instead of Broha, but because of funds reason and trying to get a double Chelsea defense by removing Livramento meant I had to downgrade Shea Adams to Broha. And I think Shea Adams is slightly a better pick than Broha. If I had the option to pick, I would probably go Shea Adams, but in terms of overall squad value and being able to bring in the best players possible, I have had to go with Broha. But if you had Shea Adams, I think he could also be a decent captaincy option. And then the final one is just having Heung-min Son instead of getting Kane. Now, there might be managers out there who have Heung-min Son and can't bring in Kane. So this is another squad that I have right here. Again, 9 double game week players like I mentioned. Salah, Son, the ones starting. Backline of Rudiger, Digne, Livramento, Cody, Rafinha, Willock in midfield, Broha, and Jimenez. We got Jimenez over here. I'm not really convinced by Jimenez. I have Jimenez, but I'm most likely going to get rid of Jimenez because I don't see the upside at the moment. I've only for a few games and I've been very disappointed in terms of Wolves' returns, and I kind of should have expected it because Wolves aren't a team to really score too much. So should have kind of expected it from Jimenez, which is why I probably got rid of him because I'm not sure how much returns I will probably get from Jimenez. But he does play in game week 30. If I did that squad, I could then have a full 11 because I'll have... Sorry, this is game week 29. Game week 29, I would still have Jimenez, but I'll have less double game week players, I think. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'll have 9 compared to in the previous drafts. I had 10 double game week players in 29. So I had 1 extra double game week player in the previous drafts, but in this draft, I can fill a full 11 with this draft. I will probably then have enough funds in the bank, probably to get rid of Broha and bring in someone else if I wanted to. But I could also go with 10 players because I don't really want to get rid of a Chelsea defender, depending on who it is. It could be Rudiger, it could be James, Salah and Trent. I don't really want to get rid of Salah and Trent. So that's kind of the team. I'm happy to go with 10 players in game week 30 regardless of what draft I pick. But right now, this is most likely a draft. I'll probably put it on Twitter, try and get a few feedback options, see which would be like some good options to take. Right now, it's between get Havertz and maybe give him the armband and downgrade Rudiger to Thiago Silva, or keep it like this and give the armband to Coutinho. That's what I'm kind of not sure about. Hey, if you have any idea, let me know in the comments as well. I'm open to ideas, so let me know in the comments. But this is basically my wildcard team selection drafts. It's been a bit of a long video, but that's my thought process. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I'm open to ideas. Tomorrow we have the deadline stream, so make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. Hit the bell notification so you get notified when we go live for the deadline stream. I will create a scheduled video as well so that you can see it upcoming as well in your subscription box. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Deadline day stream tomorrow, and I will end the deadline stream maybe half an hour to 45 minutes before the deadline, because I will then be moving to Fantasy Football Scout, their deadline day stream. So you can catch me again like last week, how you caught me on the Fantasy Football Scout deadline and our deadline on Football Chatbox as well. I'll be doing the same this week as well. So we'll be speaking with Ted Talks from FPL. So lots to discuss, plenty to happen. Deadline day stream is going to be crazy. I'm looking forward to interacting with all of you all, seeing your wildcard drafts, seeing your free hit drafts, or any other drafts that you probably have an idea or having plans. Maybe bench boost. I've seen people bench boosting as well, so I'm open to looking at a lot of team questions tomorrow. It's going to be crazy. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I think captaincy is going to be a huge question, and it's something that I'm going to be looking at, trying to find out what to actually do, to give the armband to. But yeah, this is my team. For now, this is the draft for now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys later.